Welcome to Reddit Chronicles, the #1 place to get your Reddit stories. Hope you enjoy them. This happened last night, Halloween. I know it's cliché, but it's true. Last night, after trick or treating, I had the most terrifying experience of my life. I'm a 42-year-old man for your reference. It was about 10:30 and I was just hanging out watching TV. All of a sudden, boom, 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 there was someone smashing my front door with their fist. I was instantly freaked out. I slunk down to see out the front windows, hiding behind my plants to try and not be seen. I live in a split-level house, so my living room is about 10 off the ground. I can't see anybody, but there is a black mid-size SUV in my driveway with its lights and hazards on. Being Halloween and having an active imagination, my mind automatically goes to horror movie scenes. This is when I realized my back patio door is difficult to lock most of times and is unlocked. I creep into the basement to get a piece of wood to jam it shut. As I'm coming out of the basement, there's still loud bangs on the basement window along the side of my house. Half the basement is above the ground. Remember, it's a split level. I quick run up and throw the wood to jam the sliding door shut, close the blinds and creep back up the stairs, turning all the lights off on the way to the living area. As in tiptoeing back up and into the living room, I can see the car pulling out of my driveway. Really slow. About an hour later, all seems go and in kind of calming down. I'm sitting on my couch with the lights off, watching TV. I see car lights come across my ceiling from pulling up my inclined driveway. I look out and it's the black SUV again. Now I'm really scared. I grab my phone and call 911, thinking I'm about to be in next year's urban legend. I'm on my knees, peering through the plants in my window, just watching. Nobody gets out. I can't see the make or license number, it's so dark. Just a black SUV with lights and hazards on. The SUV was pulled so far forward their bumper was practically touching my front step slab. Like from my front door. Nobody gets out. I can't see in the car. They just sit there. I'm on the phone with 911 telling them what happened earlier and what is happening now. The black SUV slowly reverses out of my driveway and leaves. About 20 minutes later, I see the deputy rolling through our subdivision. The subdivision is one way in, one way out. Very small and a little rural. As he's coming back down the road, I see my landlord going out, who lives next door. So I open my door to go out there and tell them both what's going on. When I open the door, there is a note taped to it that says, "Derek, we're going to kill you." And not Derek. I don't know a Derek. And I don't know why whoever was banning thinks Derek lives here. I double time to the deputy and landlord and tell them about the note and the other happenings. He calls back up. They take the note, ask both me and my landlord a bunch of questions about who this Derek guy is. One of the deputies pulls me aside and starts asking, do I owe anybody money? Do I know anybody that would want to hurt me? Am I involved in any sort of lover's triangle? No and no. He says there will be a deputy in the area and if anything happens, call 911. Landlord was just going out for mail and swears he has never rented to a Derek, heard anything, saw anything. Nothing. Here's the really fucked up part. This morning, I was in my office, which is where the patio door I jammed shut is. It was freezing cold in there. I opened the blinds and the sliding door was about for open, meaning someone had tried to open the door after I had put the piece of wood in there to jam it shut, told the landlord. He already has a better lock on mine and his patio door and built us both a Betty, our door jam. I know this is long. Thanks for reading. I swear all of this is true and happened last night.
I was working an evening shift 2 years ago when this happened. It was winter season and we had a resident in comfort care. And as usual, we have to do the best as we can to make her comfortable, such as turning her from side to side, doing her mouth care and combing her hair. Strangely, there was no relatives or family members staying by her side during her last moments. She was a lady with a beautiful smile. As I went on with my purpose, the evening went by fast as I thought, since I knew we're going to be busy. Then 7 p.m. came. She passed away along with her benevolence. I felt sorrowful, but I have to be strong to get through. At 9:30 p.m., everything was quiet, silent as the grave. My residents who have had a joyful morning are now sound asleep. The 4 of us who are assigned to work on that busy unit are sitting on the occupied space where all the daily activities church, and meals are being held. We were sitting quietly. I see nonchalance on their faces, the art of this industry. I tell them with profound enthusiasm we managed to get through tonight. Good job, guys. They gave me a slight smile as they bobbed their heads down back to their phones. 10 p.m. came and someone rang their bell. I stood up to look where it is coming from. It's the soft-spoken lady from the top end. I went to her room to answer her bell and I asked her if there is anything that she needs. In her words, she told me, "It's been more than half an hour now and I can't sleep because of that little girl in a blue dress sitting on my wheelchair at the end of my bed." She had been staring at me as she eerily smiles. She pointed behind me while talking. I looked to where her finger is directed, only to find out that nobody was there. I looked back to her now sullen face and reassured her that everything is going to be okay and that there's nobody on her room apart from her. I walked out of her room and went back to where I was sitting, while reliving the event of what she had told me. It surely was creepy. About 10 minutes later, another alarm rang. But this time it's a bed alarm of a 90-year-old lady who has a dementia. She came out of her room barefooted with her walker and a terror-stricken face. I hastily went to her and asked if she needs to go to the toilet. She started speaking in incomprehensible, mumbled manner, their apostrophe s dot 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 a girl dot 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 a little girl dot 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 I in the dot dot in the dot 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 tapping. Her hands were on her lips as she went on with her slurred speech. I remembered what the previous resident had said to me moments earlier and I felt even more terrified. It couldn't have been a coincidence. I took her back to her bed and wished her a good night. I went back to my seat and I told it to my coworkers and one of them, Colleen, said to me that a similar phenomenon happened a few years ago on a different unit where the same little girl in a blue dress had been terrorizing the residents, causing them to have sleepless nights. But no one exactly knew who and where she came from. After that, nothing had happened and I haven't heard from that girl ever since. Late night at the office. A creak outside his office caused Micah to stop typing on the report in front of him. He stood up from his desk, and he went to see what the cause could be. Micah opened his office door and peeked out into the hallway. He looked left and then right, but it was completely empty. The only thing abnormal was the blinking overhead lights. Did everyone go home already? Micah questioned aloud to himself. He took out his phone to check the time only to find the service signal was marked with a red X. I must have worked later than I had initially thought, he mumbled, putting his phone back into his pocket. Closing his office door, he walked down one of the hallways, peeking into the other office windows to see if possibly he wasn't the only one burning the midnight oil. But he was completely alone. Micah came to stop when he saw blood smeared across the wall and on the ground as if someone had been dragged. Listening, he could hear footsteps up ahead. A part of him wanted to call out and ask who it was, but something told him not to. Instead, he opened the closest office door and gently shut it and hid behind the desk. As Micah waited for the footsteps to leave, he noticed that the room was a mess, as if his coworker was in a hurry to leave, but the computer screen above him was left on illuminating the dark room. Once he no longer heard the footsteps, he stood up and checked the computer. Apparently, it was an article about a woman who worked here who had died on impact by falling down the elevator shaft. The mechanic had been doing routine maintenance and had forgotten to put up an out of service sign on the door, and when she went to walk into the elevator, the whole thing collapsed with her inside. Since then, a lot of people in the building have reported seeing her either in the elevator, causing it to break down, or walking up and down the hallways of each floor. The tapping of high heels on the granite floor resounded outside the door, stopping just outside it. A soft knocking sound rapped upon the door. A female voice called out, "Hello, is someone here?" She asked softly, waiting for a response. When Micah didn't answer, she continued down the hallway, followed by the soft echo of her heels. Breathing a sigh of relief, he walked over to the door and opened it. When he looked down, he saw high-heeled footprints as if the person stepped into blood, tracking it all over the place. The elevator was close. He needed to take it to the parking garage where his car was located. Micah made his way to the elevator. Once he deemed it clear, he pressed the down button on the panel. He got in just as the footsteps of the woman began to make their back down the hall towards him. Once the elevator began its descent, he checked his cell again to see if it had service. There was still no service. Sighing out in frustration, Micah looked up to see the digital elevator numbers spinning through each number quickly. "That's odd," he said aloud to himself. "It's working like normal. So why?" Micah paused and looked beside himself, seeing the mangled body of the woman standing next to him. Her neck was twisted in an unnatural way. Looking directly at him, a broken tooth smile was on her blood-drenched face. "Going down?" she asked as the elevator plummeted to the bottom and Micah along with it. Her laughter and his screams echoed all the way to the bottom. I mean, those were some scary stories. Make sure to like and hit that subscribe button down below.